What up, Blue Roof Nation? If you watched John Corner this week, you would have heard me give you guys a disclaimer that I'm probably going to be a little low energy because I'm feeling sick, and I do film these videos back to back. So, yes, I'm still sick. That was not intentional, I assure you. Welcome to Comics of History. I'm your host, Jonathan. This is your host, Rainer, and Frank, and Jaina, and the Preston Kissing Skull. Shout out to TSD. But, so let's just jump into it. First thing I want to talk about is reportedly there is a Dark Avengers script being worked on as we speak. Now, for those who don't know, the Dark Avengers is not the Dark Justice League. Dark Justice League, you know, they go after supernatural threats and stuff like that. Dark Avengers is, it's completely different. So, there was a time in the Marvel Universe, actually not that long ago, where Norman Osborn saved the world. And he became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he formed his own Avenger team. His team had, it had Spider-Man on it, it had Wolverine on it, it had Ares on it. God, I'm drawing a blank on some of the other characters, but he had a team that looked very much like the Avengers should, except Wolverine was Logan's son. Spider-Man was Venom, and not just any Venom, but Scorpion Venom. Yes, the Scorpion becomes Venom. Long story. But yeah, so there's all this stuff about I'm sorry. So yeah, the Dark Avengers were a team of criminals. It was like the Thunderbolts. I don't know if you guys know what the Thunderbolts are, but they were a bunch of criminals who were reformed into being heroes. So when Norman Osborn was leader of S.H.I.E.L.D., director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he took a bunch of criminals and he made them heroes. He made them the Avengers. The world didn't call them the Dark Avengers, but that was the name of the book. And it was just criminals pretending to be heroes, doing some heroic shit, all to save face and all about PI so that they get away with other stuff. Oh, PR. So they get away with other stuff. If they go that route, and they make a book about criminals pretending to be heroes and the world loving them all the while they're screwing the world over behind the scenes, that would be so beyond epic. Like, there's not even words to describe how epic that would be. So I'm all on board. And who knows, maybe it'll be the introduction to Norman Osborn in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It'll be interesting to have his introduction be away from Spider-Man, you know? That would be pretty cool. That'd be an interesting take. And I'm on board. Like, I think this is cool. I want to see it. Let's do it. So while we're talking about movies, Venom. I don't know if you guys see Venom, so the next like 5-10 minutes is going to be spoiler heavy. Spoilers! Venom. I liked it. I'm not going to give too much spoilers. I'm just going to talk about what I like about it, but just in case there's the odd spoiler or something, be aware. But I liked it. I thought it was good. It was fun. Going in, people kept saying it was a throwback to Marvel movies from like 18 years ago and stuff like that. And it's not. You know, like, It's really not, because if you go to Marvel movies 18 years ago, that's we finishing the Blade trilogy, we're starting the X-Men and Spider-Man trilogies. That's not what this movie is. This movie isn't comparable to those. This movie wasn't trying to be those. Well, a tad, and that's where the movie messed up. But you could tell that the original vision of this movie was taking comic book movies back to the 80s. The whole time I was watching it, the movie that kept popping in my mind wasn't Spider-Man, wasn't X-Men, wasn't any comic movie from 18 years ago. It was RoboCop. This movie wanted to be RoboCop. And when they say that originally it was going to be R, and then they changed it to PG-13, you see it. And I think that hurt it. I think the two things that really hurt this movie, that again, I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie, but the two things that hurt it was that it wasn't R, because it was going for that RoboCop vibe, but then it took a step back from the gritty and the gore. It wasn't. RoboCop embraced it, you know, like it went violent. It went straight for that 80s violent action flick type feel. And this movie, it went up to that edge and then it backed away. You didn't really see the consequences of the violence that you would see in RoboCop. That you would see, you know, like you didn't. And I think that hurt this movie. This movie wanted that and then didn't do it. And I think if it did it, it would have been better. I mean, the best Marvel movies that haven't been made by Marvel Studios have been their R-rated movies. It's true, it has. Why would you back away from that? And then the thing that Marvel's always done well in the comics and in their movies is they've had character pieces. You know, it's been very character driven, and this movie was trying to do that, but it did take away from the movie. And I really think the part, I don't know her name, but the leading actress, I feel like she didn't, her chemistry with the other characters wasn't there. Like, not this part is a spoiler, you know, her and Brock start dating and then they break up and then she starts dating this other guy. And Brock and the other guy's chemistry was tighter and stronger than either one of their chemistry with her. And I feel like that, her lack of chemistry with her co-stars, I feel is what damaged, like, is what took away from the movie a bit, you know? But beyond that, I think it was a good movie. I think it was enjoyable. I don't know why it's getting such shitty reviews, because if you compare it to Marvel movies not made by Marvel Studios, it's a solid 8. You know? Now, if you compare it to the movies made by Marvel, it goes down quite a bit, but it's a solid movie. I don't know. I think you guys should watch it. And if you watch John's Corner, as I said earlier, the post-credit scene, the first one alone is worth the price of admission, and the second post-credit scene is awesome. I like that one too. So I think you guys should see the movie. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. So for this final story, we talked previously, I don't know if it was on this or on John's Corner, about Boom Studios, the comic book company, making Buffy comics, and I was like, I don't know how they're gonna go, what exactly they're doing with it, if it's gonna be a continuation of what Dark Horse did, or if they're gonna take it back a little bit. And it seems they're saying Whedon's involved, but it seems like they're rebooting Buffy. They're putting her back in high school, starting her story over, and setting it in the modern day. It seems like they're going the Ultimate Universe route for Marvel, you know? And while the Ultimate Universe had some cool things, like it gave us the Thinker and it gave us Miles Morales, it wasn't what I like. I mean, I wasn't in it. I didn't care about it. I don't understand this hatred of canon. Like, oh, well, we just want to do our own thing. And I was like, if you want to do your own thing, create your own thing. Don't take someone else's idea and then pass it off as your own and say, I'm creating my own thing, because you're not. You're redoing what they did, and it's shitty. And you could take something that someone else did, remake it in your own image, and have it be original. If you go to my website and you read the Crusader scripts, that was based off the pilot episode of Firefly. I was like, I like it, but I want to see that one part of that stretched out longer. And so I decided to go do it. I didn't go and rewrite Firefly. I made my own characters, made my own story. It's completely different than Firefly, but I took that premise. Warzone Entertainment is based off the episode Warzone of Angel, but completely different. Because I took something I liked from it, I took that, isolated it, and then made something new around that core idea that I liked. Because that's all storytelling is. It's, as Joss Whedon himself said, steal everything you can and make it your own. Like, I don't understand this notion of I have to have that. I have to play with those same characters, that same story, and then just redo it. Why? What's the point of that? If you like the concept, take the concept and then make something new. I don't understand it, and it's, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be good. And Whedon being involved, he's involved in the new show, which apparently is not a reboot, it's a sequel. He's involved in this comic book, which is a reboot. I'm glad he's still involved in Buffy, but it's like, he literally just finished his story. I feel like they're paying him to be involved just so that they could have his name attached. But I don't know, maybe he is involved. Maybe he is working on it, maybe he is doing it. I don't know. It does make me worried about the new Firefly series, though. If they're rebooting Buffy, is Firefly not going to be a continuation? Because Firefly, I want more stories from that take place from where it was. I don't know, man. This just, it bothers me, man. What was... I'm sorry, like I said, I'm feeling kind of sick, but there was literally something I just watched that was like, oh. If you guys haven't seen the show Manifest, it's a great show. But that is an example of what I'm talking about. You can tell that the writers of that show, the creator of that show, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you watch it and you get a sense that they were a fan of the show 4400. They wanted to redo 4400. But instead of redoing 4400, they took elements from it and then made something new. And even in the first couple episodes of Manifest, you could tell it's not going to be 4400, but it is 4400. Like, that's what you can do. You can take something that you like and repurpose it. Take something you like and remake it, you know? And I know, I do Frank's Journeys and I'm playing with Punisher, but I'm not, he's not the Punisher, he's not Marvel's Punisher. It's clearly its own creation that I did because I just wanted more characters and I didn't want to play every damn part. But you can take things and you can redesign it and remake it and make it new. It doesn't... The reason they don't do that, the reason why people don't go the Manifest route and they instead go... Hold on. They don't go the Manifest route and they instead go this Buffy route or... the new Roswell show, which looks stupid, or rebooting Charmed, or all this other stuff, isn't because they care about the original project. Isn't because they want to honor that. Because look at the Charm shit. Look at how much the staff behind this new Charm show has attacked and talked shit about the old cast and the old premise. So they don't give a fuck about the old premise. They don't care about that. They're not trying to honor that legacy. They're trying to cash in on the name Charmed to make their own thing. And it's like, well, why? Like, this, don't insult the legacy if you're gonna benefit from it. If you're gonna use them as a leg up, don't insult them. But to be fair, the cast hasn't done that. The cast has said, oh, you know, we love the old show. I mean, that they're supposed to say that, but I don't have any reason to disbelieve them. It seems to be the creative force behind that show, or the PR people behind that show, that are attacking the old show. But they're doing it for a cash grab. It's taking the name of something that's established and saying, oh, well, we're gonna just get a leg up and do it. Like the new Magnum PI show. Why not just make a new cop show? There's 1 billion and 2 cop shows. Why is this one called Magnum PI? And it's for the name. It's easier to get people on board with a name they recognize than it is to do the hard work and build a fan base of your own. It's cheating. That's all it is. And I don't know, man. That's just my 2 cents. Like I said, I'm not really feeling all that great today, so I'm not gonna do a year in comics history thing. I do want to give like a brief little rundown of Venom because I thought that would be cool. So for those of you who don't know, the Venom is a symbiote, and Spider-Man got him. His first appearance wasn't in Civil War 8, but that was where the origin of the shoot is. The first appearance was, I forget the number off the top of my head, but it's an iconic cover of Spider-Man swinging the black suit. And then the first appearance was Secret Wars 8. So basically, Peter Parker, he's in Battle World, and his costume gets torn up. And they have these kind of like replicators, like from Star Trek. And he replicates a costume and it's black and it's cool and he's like, oh, this is awesome. And it actually like enhances everything about him, makes him stronger, faster, all this stuff. And he doesn't think anything of it. And slowly, when we get to Earth, when he gets back to Earth, he finds that he's getting angrier and angrier, and he goes to Reed Richards and he finds out that the suit's alive, and so he has it removed from him. And Reed Richards puts it in a jar and he's testing on it, and it breaks out. I actually had the issue where it breaks out. It's awesome. And it finds its way back to Peter Parker, and eventually, you know, and all the while this is happening, a photographer by the name of Eddie Brock he's faking. I can't remember if he's faking stories or if he just got something wrong and he took a shortcut. And because him and Peter Parker were kind of rivals, they're both going for the same freelance job. I think they were going for a staff job at the time. And Eddie Brock got it, and then Peter Parker exposed him. So Eddie Brock got fired and got disgraced, and Peter Parker then he got rid of the symbiote again using a church bells, and the symbiote got off of him, and it attached to Eddie Brock, who was down below, and that became Venom. And the first appearance was technically $2.99, the last page, but the first full appearance is $300. And I mean, there's a reason why Venom and Spawn look so similar, kind of like the way they flow and all that, because Todd McFarlane, you know, genius man. So Venom, he's immune to Spider-Man, Spider Sense. This is badass characters. One of my favorite characters. You want a good like version of him? You should check out the Spider-Man animated series from the '90s. But not the Topher Grace one from Spider-Man 3. That was just appalling. But anyway, so so anyways, you know, Spider-Man and Venom, they've had their beef on and off for years, and eventually Venom gives birth to Carnage, and it's just, there's so many great Venom stories. But eventually Venom, Eddie Brock gets cancer, and he sells the Venom suit, and he has a bidding war for it, and the suit ends up getting bought by Scorpion. Forgetting his name on the top of my head. Again, I'm not feeling well, so bear with me. And he becomes Venom, and he's a much more violent, evil Venom, man. Like he embraces the of it all. Eventually, he loses the suit, and the military gets it, and they use Flash Thompson, who was Peter Parker's bully in high school. Spider-Man's biggest fan, then became a friend of Peter Parker's, went to Vietnam, lost his legs. A whole dude had a Flash Thompson's storyline is amazing. And but he becomes Agent Venom, and Eddie Brock becomes Anti-Venom. And last storyline I read with them in it is they were both, Eddie Brock and Flash Thompson were fighting over the symbiote, and the symbiote has been purged of all the hatred that Venom had over the years, and so now it's good. And if I remember correctly, Eddie Brock got Venom back, and Flash Thompson became Agent Anti-Venom. I don't know, man. It's legit. Like, it's cool. If you want to, you should really dive into the Venom storylines, because any of those Venom comics are amazing, man. I've always been a big fan of Venom. He's one of my favorite characters. I love him. Like I said, I'm not doing a history of comics this week. I'm not feeling up to it. I apologize. But I'm Jonathan. Give us legends.